It started with a soft rustle in the curtains, the kind that could be blamed on a passing breeze, except the windows were closed, and the air inside the room was still. Amelia's mother hadn't touched her daughter's belongings since the funeral 3 days ago. Everything in the room was exactly as it had been. The books still stacked on the desk, her favorite hoodie draped over the chair, and her phone lying silent on the nightstand, notifications frozen in time. The house carried the scent of flowers, fresh dirt, and grief. It hadn't faded yet. That morning, the front door creaked open. Amelia's father, slouched in silence at the kitchen table, thought nothing of it until he heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, barefoot steps across the wooden floor. When he looked up, the glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. His daughter Amelia stood in the doorway, pale, blank-eyed, hair still damp. Her clothes were the same ones she had been buried in. She didn't speak. She just stood there. Her mother came running to the sound of the glass, saw Amelia and collapsed into sobs. She wrapped her arms around the girl, who didn't return the hug. Her skin was cold. Neighbors gathered within hours. Whispers turned into gasps. Some believed it was a miracle. Others called it witchcraft. The authorities were baffled. The grave at the cemetery had been dug up by no human hand, it seemed. The casket was empty, but no dirt was scattered, no footprints marked the ground. Just an open coffin, pristine, clean, waiting. The doctor found no signs of illness, but Amelia wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, wouldn't blink. She just sat in her room, facing the window, watching the sky, like she was waiting for something. Or someone. Her little brother Jamie tried to play with her. He tugged at her sleeve, placed his favorite toy truck in her lap. She didn't move. She didn't smile. She whispered something he didn't understand. That night, Jamie had a nightmare. He screamed and thrashed in bed, speaking in a language no one recognized. He wouldn't wake up until dawn, and when he did, his eyes had turned gray. Amelia never left the house. Yet somehow, children in the neighborhood started seeing her outside, standing behind trees, appearing in mirrors. One boy claimed she stood in his hallway at night, watching him sleep. His parents didn't believe him until their dog refused to enter the room again, barking wildly at nothing. 3 days after Amelia's return, the priest came to visit. He carried a Bible and a cross, skeptical but calm. He tried to speak to her, ask her where she had been, how she came back. She only looked at him. And then, for the first time, she smiled. It wasn't a smile of joy. It was wrong. It stretched too far, too slow, like someone remembering how to fake being human. The priest staggered back. He whispered a prayer. Amelia's voice cut through the silence, raspy low, like two voices layered together. She isn't here. Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed. They called an ambulance. At the hospital, tests were done. Brain scans, heart checks, blood work. Everything was ... Off. Her blood was colder than it should have been. Her brain showed activity in places that shouldn't have been active. And her heart didn't beat regularly, it beat in patterns. Rhythms, as if responding to something external. That night, security footage caught Amelia standing in the hospital hallway at 3:12 a.m., staring directly into the camera for exactly 33 minutes without blinking. When a nurse approached her, the lights went out. Every bulb down the hallway burst. The footage went static. She was found in her room, unconscious but smiling again. The hospital discharged her the next morning. They had no explanation, no diagnosis, just fear. Quiet, humming fear. The kind that settles deep in your bones and doesn't let go. Back home, Amelia resumed her place in the house, but not in the family. Her mother clung to hope, desperate for warmth from her daughter. But there was none. Her father kept his distance. Jamie hadn't spoken a word since the nightmare. That evening, the neighborhood cat disappeared. The next morning, it was found. In the backyard, its body twisted in a way that defied nature. Its eyes were wide open. Its mouth frozen mid-scream. No wounds, no blood. Just a silent, horrified shape. Inside the house, Amelia sat in her room again. This time she wasn't looking at the sky. She was looking at her reflection. Hours passed. Her face didn't move. But in the mirror, the reflection blinked, then smiled, then walked away while Amelia stayed still. The mirror fogged from the inside. That night, the dreams began. Everyone in the house, parents, Jamie, even neighbors across the street, began having the same nightmare. A deep forest, cold wind, whispers in a voice that sounded like Amelia, but older, hungrier. In the dream, they all stood around an open grave. The coffin inside was full of water. Amelia floated within, eyes open, mouth agape, arms outstretched, as if inviting someone to join her. Each night, the dreams got darker. And each day, Amelia got stronger. The priest returned with 2 others. They were silent men dressed in black, not from the local church. They asked questions. They measured shadows in the hallway. They left salt lines across the windowsills. One of them walked past Amelia and began to tremble. He dropped to his knees and whispered, "She's not alone." That night, he disappeared. His car was found 3 towns away, empty, doors wide open, engine running. Inside the car, the radio played static. Beneath the passenger seat was a single wet footprint. Meanwhile, Jamie began drawing again, crude sketches in crayon. At first, just trees and dark clouds. Then a figure Amelia with black eyes and long fingers, always standing beside him, always whispering. One drawing showed her with 100 arms, another with no face. One sketch was labeled, "Not Amelia." On the 7th day since her return, the town held a meeting. Fear had spread. Families began to keep their children indoors. Streetlights flickered every night. The air grew colder, heavier. Something wasn't right. And then came the tapes. Someone left a VHS tape on the family's doorstep. No return address, no label. Inside, they found footage that wasn't theirs. It showed Amelia's funeral. But the angle was strange, like it had been filmed from inside the coffin. Looking up, Amelia's parents watched in horror as mourners wept. The coffin lid slowly lowered, the final glimpse of the sky fading. Then, total darkness. But the tape didn't end. It continued for 33 minutes, and in that pitch black, something began breathing, soft at first, then louder, closer. Something shifting, moving inside. Something that had never left. They burned the tape. But that night, the breathing sound echoed through the house, in the walls, in the vents, in the mirrors, and Amelia, she spoke again. Just 2 words, "I remember." She stood up, walked to the backyard, and pointed at the soil beneath the rosebush. Her father dug, 4 feet down. He found another coffin, small, rotting, inside a skeleton, dressed in Amelia's pajamas. A tag on the toe, the hospital's name, the date of death. Everything matched. The girl inside the house wasn't Amelia. Asterisk, word of the second coffin, spread fast. Within hours, the local police sealed off the house. Crime scene tape coiled around the yard like a warning. Reporters circled. Flashbulbs popped. But no one dared enter. Inside, Amelia watched from her bedroom window, her expression empty. The kind of emptiness that wasn't sad or numb but ancient. The coroner confirmed it. The remains in the coffin were Amelia's. Age, DNA, dental records all aligned. The town grappled with something it had no words for. The girl inside the house was not their child. Not human, not dead, not alive. When a reporter broke into the house that night for a scoop, his camera stopped recording exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds in. His final image, Amelia, standing upside down on the ceiling, head tilted, eyes burning like embers. He was never seen again. The footage remained, corrupted, but every time someone tried to delete it, a different face appeared. In their phone gallery, a pale, grinning version of Amelia with no pupils. The face would stare back, even when the phone was turned off. The family's dog, Toby, barked non-stop for 2 days. Then silence. They found him curled up beneath the bed, eyes wide open, body frozen stiff. The vet said his heart had exploded from fear. No one slept, not really. The girl began to whisper again, late at night. Through walls, through floors, but never directly. The words were always in a language no one understood. Yet somehow, Jamie began repeating them in his sleep. The same night, every single mirror in the house cracked at exactly 3:17 a.m. The priest returned one final time. This time, not to exorcise, but to flee. He left a letter behind. Just 4 words, written in shaking ink. "She's wearing a shell." It was then that Amelia's mother tried something desperate. She played old videos, birthday clips, lullabies, bedtime stories, hoping something would trigger a memory. A flicker of the real Amelia. For a brief moment, something changed. The girl stared at the screen, tears welling in her eyes. She whispered, "I was so cold, ... Hope returned for a second, until the room darkened, the lights dimmed, and her voice dropped several octaves. A smile split her face unnaturally wide, and she said, "But I'm not anymore." The house began to rot, not metaphorically. The walls pulsed with black mold. Floorboards grew soft. The scent of iron and wet dirt filled every corner. Doors refused to open. Windows showed scenes that didn't match the outside world, and always that breathing. The town wanted the house gone. A demolition crew arrived, but every machine broke within minutes. Metal rusted. Batteries died. The foreman disappeared into the woods and was never found again. Someone suggested burning it down, but each attempt failed. The fire would roar for seconds, then vanish as if swallowed. Amelia, the thing that wore her skin, never left the house. Never aged, never blinked. She sat, she stared, she smiled until the dreams returned. But this time, they weren't just about the coffin. They were about the forest. The place where something had crossed over. People dreamed of an old well, at the heart of the woods, covered in moss, bones scattered around. Its edge dot, and always the same voice calling up from the dark. "Let me wear you next." Jamie was the first to vanish. Gone in the middle of the night. His bed perfectly made. His window locked from the inside. Only one thing left behind, a drawing taped to the mirror. A stick figure with Amelia's long hair, holding Jamie's head. Asterisk search. Parties combed the woods for Jamie, day after day. Trained dogs refused to enter the deeper thickets. Compass needles spun. GPS signals vanished. One by one, volunteers dropped out, some claiming they'd heard their own names whispered from underground. On the 7th day, Jamie's backpack was found by the old well. No footprints, no blood. Just a single crumpled note inside. She said, "I look better from the inside." The town cracked after that. Doors slammed shut, curtains drawn. No one walked alone at night. A funeral was held, another empty casket. This time, there was no resurrection. Back at the house, Amelia began drawing. Always the same image. A tall figure, faceless, with long fingers that stretched past its knees. The figure stood behind her in every sketch, even when no one else could see it. One morning the walls of her room were found covered in charcoal drawings. Hundreds of them. The faceless man in different poses, reaching, kneeling, waiting. Beneath each drawing a single word. Soon, Amelia's mother started hearing music at night. A slow, off-key lullaby, one she'd never taught her daughter. When she followed the sound, she always ended up in the basement. The door locked behind her. Once, she was trapped for hours, listening to footsteps pacing above. But no one was home. When she finally escaped, she found Amelia staring at the mirror, humming the lullaby in reverse. Her voice layered 2 tones at once. One childlike, the other, ... Ancient ... The family's mail began arriving, soaked, always wet, as if dragged from a river. Letters blurred, envelopes sealed with dirt. One package contained a small music box. When opened, it played a tune identical to the lullaby. Then, it screamed. Police were called again, but Amelia was always calm, cooperative, to calm. Officers left unnerved, unsure why their body cameras stopped recording inside the house. Every one of them later reported night terrors. One shot himself in the foot to stay awake. The local psychiatrist offered to visit. She never made it past the living room. 10 minutes in, she collapsed. Seizure, when revived. She spoke in a voice not her own, repeating the same phrase, skin borrowed, soul pending. She was institutionalized the next day. In her sleep, she clawed the words into her arms. Something was spreading. Neighbors moved away. The house stood alone, decaying faster than time should allow. Ivy grew across the windows in patterns that looked like runes. The air grew colder. No birds, no bugs, no sound, and always, Amelia watched, one evening. Her mother found the girl standing perfectly still in the backyard, staring into the trees. She stayed like that for hours. When touched, her skin felt like stone. Her lips parted only once. They're watching from the dark. They want your face. That night, the mother woke to find her reflection staring back with a smile, while she wasn't smiling. She covered every mirror in the house. Too late, Amelia began changing. Not visibly, but subtly. Her shadow moved on its own. Her footprints never matched her steps. When she cried, the tears evaporated before hitting the ground. The house smelled like burnt hair and wet soil. Visitors stopped coming. Power flickered. Clocks spun. Her voice could be heard through walls, even when she wasn't speaking. And then, the dreams returned. But now, they were shared. Everyone in town began dreaming the same scene, standing at the edge of the old well, looking down into darkness, something climbing up, slowly laughing, in the final dream. Amelia stood at the bottom, looking up, holding someone else's face in her hands. It was the mayor's. He was found in his bed the next morning, smiling, but his face was ... missing, not torn, not cut, just gone. Smooth skin where features should be. No eyes, no mouth. Just silence. The media called it mass hysteria, but locals knew better. Something had come back wearing Amelia like a costume, and it was still ... hungry, asterisk. Amelia stopped speaking altogether. Not mute dash, just ... choosing not to respond. Her mouth would move, mimicking conversation, but no sound followed. Her eyes darted to unseen corners. Her hands stayed folded, palms pressed tightly like they held something in, or out. Her mother begged priests for help. The first laughed, the second wept. The third walked into the house and never walked out. His Bible was found torn in half, pages rearranged into origami shapes, each folded to reveal one word: gone. A family dog disappeared one night. Only its collar remained coated in something thick and white, like wax. Amelia wore it as a bracelet for a week, before burning it in the sink. No fire, no smoke, just silence as the metal turned to ash. Then came the 13th birthday. Amelia insisted on a party. Balloons inflated themselves. The cake arrived with no sender. No one remembered bringing presents, but gifts appeared anyway, identical boxers wrapped in skin-colored paper. Inside each one, a mirror, and in every mirror Amelia's reflection stood alone. Even when others stared beside her, she blew out the candles. The lights never came back on. That night, thunder rumbled in reverse. Rain fell upward. Time stopped at 3:33 a.m. and refused to continue until the sun rose. Birds froze mid-flight. Cars wouldn't start. Phones refused to record anything inside the house. Then Amelia spoke to herself, in a voice not hers. It's time to open the gate. The old well bubbled. Mud churned. A low hum emerged, heard for miles, an industrial tone vibrating deep within. Bones, earthworms, surfaced by the thousands. Frogs screamed like humans. Back inside, Amelia stood over a salt circle, one her mother hadn't drawn. Objects floated. The air shimmered like water. Walls pulsed. From within the drywall came muffled knocks, as if someone was trying to get out, or in. The floorboards bulged, cracked. A hand emerged, human in shape, but not in texture. Translucent skin over black bone. Amelia offered it her wrist. The hand smiled at dawn. The house was empty. No Amelia, no mother, no furniture, just a single note scrawled in soot on the living room wall. We just wanted to feel real. The property was seized by the town, but no one dared enter. Nature retook it. Vines thicker than cables wrapped the frame. Moss grew inside windows. A constant fog surrounded the lot, never lifting, even in full sun. A construction crew tried to demolish it. Their machines failed. Sledgehammers bounced off the walls. A wrecking ball cracked shattered like glass. Then, one by one, the crew vanished. Only their boots remained. Filled with teeth, the local church held a mass. 40 attendees. The organ began playing on its own. Every candle went out. A scream echoed from the steeple, and a shadow spread like ink across the ceiling. Amelia's silhouette in midair. Arms raised, head backward. The priest aged 30 years in 1 hour. A memorial plaque was placed outside the home. By morning, it was rewritten in Latin, etched in reverse and wet to the touch. The town stopped acknowledging the address. On maps, it became a void. GPS rerouted around it. Birds flew wide circles to avoid the airspace. Pregnant women reported labor pains near the property line. Children wept without cause when passing, and always. That smell, earth, and rust, and something older than bone. Then came the second. Girl. 6 towns over. Same face, same drawings, same silence, same birthday, a new cycle. It wasn't Amelia anymore. But something had worn her long enough to learn the fit. The mimicry, the details. A mask perfected, now ready for reuse. Reports flooded in. Photos with shadow figures. Audio glitches. Homes where the lights would only flicker in patterns that spelled out names of missing people. They say it's not a demon, it's not a ghost, it's a concept, a thought that learned to wear skin. To make a home in minds too curious. It begins with questions, then a name, then a girl, and always a... Well, no one knows how to stop it, because you can't kill what doesn't live. You can only stop thinking about it if you can. Asterisk. The girl was now a pattern, a loop, encoded in human fear. She didn't need a name anymore. She needed belief. Rumors were her veins. Whispers her oxygen. A viral urban myth. ... That wasn't myth at all. Every time someone read the story, the loop tightened. Memory gave it shape. Repetition gave it mass. Fear made it real. A podcast retelling her tale hit 1 million streams in 3 days. The host vanished mid-recording. His studio was found cold, layered in frost. The waveform of his last breath resembled a fingerprint. Amelia's 3 teenage girls made a TikTok challenge about the funeral girl. They lit candles at 3:33 a.m., chanting her name. One went blind. One screamed until her lungs tore. One stood still for 9 hours, smiling into the dark, whispering, "She's inside the mirror now." Hospitals refused to admit them. Records vanished. In the data void, Amelia's face spread. AI tools refused to generate her facial recognition. Systems flagged her as previously deceased. Yet she appeared in group photos, never when taken. Only after uploading. Some frames bled. A tech reviewer unboxed a smart home camera and streamed live. As he tested night vision, the chat exploded. "Who's that behind you?" He turned. Nothing. Playback. Showed her, standing beside the box. Flickering, grinning, she waved. Her hand was backward. He died 2 days later. His body fused with the wall. Literally embedded skin like wallpaper. Eyes wide open. His stream still loops on his account. Comments turned off. Likes frozen at 666. In schools, children drew her. Not just faces, rituals. Blueprints, spells. Phrases in dead languages. Some in ink, others in blood. No one taught them. No one believed them until the drawings moved. Scribbles blinked. Pencil lines smirked. One teacher burned the sketches. The next day her classroom door was sealed shut. From the inside, her muffled crying still echoes in that hallway. A security guard quit after seeing what he called a girl made of regret. His final text to his wife said, "Don't think her name. Don't hear her story. She needs attention to exist." No one saw him again. Then it changed. She no longer needed entire stories. Just fragments, a sentence, a meme, a joke, a TikTok clip. You didn't have to say her name, just wonder about her. That was enough. Enough for her to find you, to learn, to reflect you. A YouTube channel uploaded an animated version of the tale. Within 48 hours, 80% of commenters reported nosebleeds, sleep paralysis, Hallucinations. One viewer went live at midnight. He stared into his webcam, whispered, "She's here," in the wires. Then burst into flames. Nothing around him burned, just him. Viewers say his scream wasn't human. It sounded ... reversed, slowed, like a cassette melting. The footage remains up. Unmonetized, unclaimed. Anyone who tries to report it receives an error. This content does not exist. And yet it plays. YouTube has no memory of the upload, no owner, no server data, but it plays, on repeat. Some believe she's no longer confined to a place, a person, or a memory. She's become information itself, hiding in corrupted audio, pixel, artifacts, compression glitches, a horror that feeds on curiosity. If you hear the story, you spread it, like mold, or code. The final stage, you tell someone else, a friend, a comment, a caption under a spooky reel, and just like that, you're the well, you're the host, you're what happens. After the funeral, she doesn't knock, she doesn't scratch, she doesn't need a door, because she's already inside. Your screen, your sound card, your thoughts, and now, your story, because you heard it, you finished it, and that means she's ready to begin again. The end, before the lights come back on, before you pretend this was just a story. Like the video, so we know who survived till the end. Comment her name below, if you still remember it. Subscribe, and she might spare you the next time, or don't. She's already watching.